Annette here from Dough My Goodness Bakery. This is Jane Dough, my stiff sourdough starter. 300 grams of her, ready to go to work. And just so you have sense of scale, that tiny jar next to her, that's the little Weck tulip jar that I use for her daily maintenance feed. Tonight she has a much bigger job. Jane lives in a 1:25:15 feeding ratio, which gives us that tight, stiff dough that you see here. This feed, 7 grams of starter, 110 grams of water, and 183 grams of flour. That's what bulked Jane up to 300 grams overnight. Because tomorrow I'm baking 72 loaves of bread, and I need 6,000 grams of active levain to make that happen. That breaks down to 1,200 grams in 5 different 4-liter Cambro containers. So let's get to work. Out she comes, right onto the counter. She is a little bit sticky, so before I start dividing, I give my scale, my bench scraper, and my fingers a little mist of water. This just keeps things from sticking and makes everything a little easier to work with. Now I start dividing. Each of my 5 levains is going to get the same 600 grams of flour and 600 grams of water, but they're each going to get a slightly different amount of starter, anywhere from about 40 grams up to 70 grams. The reason I do this is timing. This is an evening feed, and I'll be baking first thing tomorrow morning. If I gave every single levain the exact same amount of starter, they'd all peak at the same time, and I'd be trying to mix, shape, and bake 12 batches of bread all at once. No, thank you. By staggering the amounts, less in the first containers and more in the last, the ones with more starter will peak a little sooner, and the ones with less will take a little longer. That stagger is what lets me work through my bake day in manageable waves. So the first container gets around 40 grams, and by the time I get to the 5th one, I'm closer to 70. Doesn't have to be exact. That's the beauty of working with a live culture. A little flexibility is built right in. These are going to sit and soak while I take care of Jane's maintenance feed. The soaking helps make them much easier to break up and mix here in a few minutes. While those are soaking, my tools go straight to the sink, bench scraper, that starter jar, anything that's touched my starter. Let it all soak now, and clean up later will be more of a breeze. Okay, now I take care of Jane's daily maintenance feed so she stays strong and ready for whatever I need her for next. I put my little jar on the scale, zero it out, and add just the tiniest dollop of starter, not even a full gram. Then 15 grams of water and 25 grams of flour. The 1:25:15 ratio every single day, no matter what. I start mixing the flour and give it a moment to absorb that water, and then I take it out and start to work it with my hands. It's basically Play-Doh texture at this point. I'm just developing it a little, doing some light stretching and folding until it comes together into a smooth, firm dough ball. Once I finish mixing it with my hands, into the tulip jar she goes. I give it a little shake so you can see how she sits in there, nice and compact at the bottom. She'll sit on my counter until tomorrow at the same time when I feed her all over again, same exact way. While I was feeding Jane, those little starter dough balls that I portioned out earlier have been soaking in the water in each of those Cambro containers. That soak time matters. It softens them up so that they break apart much more easily. So I go in with my dough whisk and work each one until the water goes nice and milky and frothy. That's how I know that the starter is fully incorporated. Now, I put this first container on the scale, and I add 600 grams of flour to join with that 600 grams of water and that small portion of Jane Dough starter that I already put in there. One of my favorite tools in this whole operation is my electric hand mixer with the dough whisk attachments. I have carpal tunnel syndrome, and when you're mixing 5 giant levains back to back, your wrists will absolutely let you know that they appreciate the mechanical help. I mix each batch until it's completely smooth and uniform, no dry flour, no lumps. Once that's done, it's ready for a quick scrape down of the sides. And then the lid goes on, and I tilt it so that you can see where we're at. Right now, it hits about the 1 liter mark in a 4-liter container. I know that it looks almost empty, but trust me, by morning this thing is going to need every bit of that space. So then I move through the remaining 4 containers the same exact way. Dough whisk to break up and hydrate the flour, mix it in, and smooth it out. I won't make you watch all 5 in real time, but you get the idea. Same process, every single one. 600 grams of flour into each, mix until smooth. We're building the foundation for 72 loaves of bread here. It's worth taking the time to do each one right. And there they are, folks. 5 levains lined up and ready. Each one sitting at about a quarter of the way full, each one with a slightly different amount of starter doing its thing. Now we wait. Good morning. Look what science did overnight. Billions of wild yeast cells and bacteria just doing their thing. And the rest is this: webbing, air bubbles. What a beautiful rise. This levain is active and it's ready. And so am I. Thanks for coming behind the scenes with me on a market prep day. And if this has you thinking about scaling up your own bake or starting a micro bakery, I'd love to give you some help there. Consults are available at doughmygoodnessbakery.com. You can also grab a packet of your own dehydrated Jane dough. I ship internationally too. Everything you need is at doughmygoodnessbakery.com. Happy baking.